And it remains to be seen how that's going to shake out. The final outcome will be determined actually quite provincially, in terms of British Columbia is going to break one way, and Manitoba is going to break, these are Canadian provinces, going to break a different way, and it remains to be seen how Quebec is going to break, but the Bloc Québécois is failing as well. It really is boiling down to a binary between the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party, which is different in Canadian politics. That's not quite unprecedented, but pretty close to being unprecedented. If I were to bet my last dollar, I would say Mark Carney and the Liberal Party will prevail, and he will remain as Prime Minister, even though he's never been elected to anything in his entire life. But he's been the Governor of the Bank of Canada and the Governor of the Bank of England. He's failed in both offices. There's no doubt about that. But there's a very real chance that Pierre Poilievre and his Conservative Party he might be the Prime Minister on Tuesday.
Okay, Professor Latham, what has suddenly led to the race becoming too close to call? A few months ago, it was looking like a cakewalk for the Conservative Party. But do you believe Trudeau stepping down in favor of Carney and the Trump position on Canada has helped the Liberal Party bounce back?
Yeah, those two developments are interconnected. On the one hand, Justin Trudeau was incredibly unpopular towards the end of his tenure, after 10 years as Prime Minister. And that obviously broke in favor of the Conservative Party. And Pierre Poilievre, the head of the Conservative Party, initially positioned himself as kind of the Trump of Canada in some ways. And then when President Trump started banging on about 51st state and annexing Canada and those sorts of things, that political posturing on the part of Pierre Poilievre didn't work anymore. And it took Monsieur Poilievre, pardonnez-moi, it took him a little bit of time to actually re-situate himself with respect to President Trump. I think he finally got around to it. I also think, though, and this is, so there's those two things, the Justin Trudeau being incredibly unpopular, and then President Trump and his 51st state nonsense. But in the last week or a fortnight, there's been a shift in gears, and I think the election has come back to which of the two major parties can actually help with the cost of living, actually help with the mundane economic issues that always shape politics at the end of the day. I think President Trump has receded into the background to some extent.
Okay.
And now it's really about which
yes,
party
that leads me then to my final question to you, Professor Latham, on what are going to be those those main issues on voters' minds. What are the the core issues that you believe could sway the vote one way or the other?
I think that the core issues will be, especially amongst the younger generation, the millennials and the Gen Zers, are they going to be able to buy a house are they going to be able to flourish economically? Are they going to be able to get on like their parents and their grandparents and their great-grandparents? I think those are the issues ultimately that are going to prevail here. It's not going to be so much about President Trump. It's not going to be about Quebec separatism or separatism in Alberta. It's not going to be about that. It's going to be about the mundane, quotidian issues about which party is going to deliver in terms of my economic prospects and my ability to flourish in Canada going forward.
All right. Appreciate you joining us with your perspective, Professor Latham, on that big story. And we'll, of course, be keeping a close eye on the election results in Canada. For the time being, that's all the time we have for, though. Thank you for watching NewsX World.